I think this is a really interesting topic for everybody here. So basically, I watched a couple seconds of it. Asmon was talking about how he doesn't play any live service games anymore, like doesn't play or he doesn't play any MMOs before or anymore. And I wanted to hear like him talk about why.
Hi guys, it's me again. Today we're going to be talking about online video games, MMOs, and why I've been moving away from them. I'm turning into a boomer playing single-player video games and feeling better than ever. How could this have possibly happened to me? And I want to talk about exactly, systematically, keep that word in mind, systematically how that's happened. Now, I want to warn you guys. Before you watch this video, if you like playing a lot of online video games, you love live service games, and you think anything the way that I do, be careful. Because after you see these patterns, I feel like there's no way to unsee the man behind the machine. So anyway, the big issue that I've had a lot with online video games is that it feels like it's building a castle on sand, it's building a castle on the beach, and then every 60 to 90 days, the tide comes in, washes your castle away, and the only thing you have left to show for it is maybe a cosmetic FOMO item for some seasonal event. Oh boy, you don't want to miss those.
I mean, sort of with Lost Ark, less so with Lost Ark, right? Because we have a lot more like evergreen systems now. Tier 4 came in, and it did kind of like do that in a sense for some things, not everything, right? And they did try to keep the progression with most things, so it's a little bit less so in Lost Ark, but definitely with a lot of other games for sure, right? For sure.
In a collection tab. You loot an apple and it says 1 out of 634. Oh boy, are we having fun now. Oh, exciting. And so I've been seeing this with every single online game. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? How am I letting myself get my time wasted on such a cataclysmic scale? By the way, 35,000 hours I've played World of Warcraft, okay? I don't regret a single minute of it. But goddamn, I wouldn't want to do all that again. And so here's the point. I feel like every single online game, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, or New World. None of these things matter because all of these games follow the same DNA. And the DNA, if you want a very easy way to condense this down, it is keep you addicted and waste your time. That's basically what happens.
I mean, that is really true, right? I think for the most part, that is what they try to do with these online games. But honestly, that's kind of what we look for, right? Like I remember like when before Lost Ark came out, when like I was just like looking for that game, right? I'm like, I just want to find that game where I can just get fucking lost in and like wake up every single morning just like really wanting to play. And like that's what I look for. That's why I play Lost Ark. That's why I play MMOs in these games because I like that feeling of just like being lost and addicted in the game and not wanting to stop playing. It's such a boomer take. It's literally any hobby. It is. But I mean, certain hobbies, I'd say like some people don't really consider like a quote unquote waste of time, right? Like a healthy activity like sports or something like that. Some people don't consider those as like a waste of time, though. In many in many cases, it is very much the same. But yeah, that's honestly what I want. I want to be able to like lose myself in the game. And yeah, with the borrow power stuff, it lets new players come in at a regular interval, which is very nice. Which Lost Ark is one of the reasons why Lost Ark has such a bad newer player experience because they don't have these soft resets or resets very often.
And so people say, oh, well, you want instant gratification.
8 hours
You're
grand
goddamn fucking
sentence.
right I do. I'm playing a video game. If I didn't want instant gratification, I'd go back to my own boring real life. Of course I do. I don't want to spend 40 hours farming for some helmet. That's stupid. And
40 hours farming for some helmet or 40 hours to upgrade the transcendence and elixirs for all 6 of your characters.
I understand the irony of this because, as one of the residential spending 40 hours farming for a helmet YouTubers, over the years, especially, I've done this a lot. Okay? I've even made guides on how to do it in only 38 hours and save a little bit of time.
That's what I do.
Nowadays,
That's what I
do.
do.
Look at that, and I just don't have the same outlook on life that I used to, and I cannot even fathom wasting my time in such a exorbitant way. And I think that this is a big...
I mean, I think there is, like, you know, logic and, like, meaning and reasoning behind what I said, right? And it makes sense. Like, if we think about, like, Lost Ark, one of the things that we always say is, like, you know, you push through the tough things. You push through the things that you don't want to do so that you can get to the things that you do want to do, right? You push through the homework, you push through the dailies, you push through the whatever, so you can get to, like, the new raid. Or, you know, maybe it's not a new raid. Maybe it's, like, just the raids themselves and, like, trying to test out your damage, trying to get your clears, trying to get your characters up. And it can be very much like, I don't know, feels like a waste of time because you're doing a lot of things that you don't want to try and get to the things that you want to do. Like, why can't it be everything that I do in the game is something that I want to do, right? And there is a very valid point about that. And that just exists in, you know, live service and MMOs in general. It's like something that happens in every single one of them. It's just how it goes because they need time to, like, they, one, want to keep you playing the game, but two, they need time to, like, make the next content update.
Thing for me, like, I'm 34 years, I'm getting old. I'm 34 years old.
Yeah, it's the grind.
And back in the day, and you guys can tell me if this is true or not in the comments with you, is that back in the day when I would play online video games, the reason why I would play them is so I could show everybody else in the world that I was better than they were. And I got so caught up in this. I love being able to do this. This is my favorite thing to do. And it was a big sense of, you know, pride for me in a way.
It's not that much different than some single player games. Oh yeah, for sure. There are some single player games that do the same thing, right? But the thing is, like, a lot of these single player games are, and sorry, I'm trying to grab a freaking sock because my feet are cold. But some single player games that do this are live service. A lot of the single player games that do this are live service games, right? And he's talking about live service games, not just multiplayer games in general, but just like live service games. And it is a kind of a plague that the live service games do have on the gaming kind of like community and the gaming style, play style. Bad take online games you can enjoy without having an ego. I think so, definitely, for sure. But he's not. But he's talking about why he used to, like, you know, why he played these games, right? Not necessarily everybody.
And I actually don't, like, I don't see this as a bad thing really at all. I don't hate myself for this. I don't think I'm stupid for doing this. But it's just that at this point in my life, I'm no longer feeling that way about, you know, about video games. I don't need to play a video game to show off that I'm better than somebody because, again, I just, you know, I've gotten old. I don't really care that much about this anymore. And so I just play video games, I don't know, imagine this, for fun. And so, anyway, how do I get to this point? I get to this point and I look at video games and it seems like so many of them are infected with the exact type of rot, the exact same type of rot, and that is every 60 to 90, some of them they're a little bit different, but they're all basically the same paradigm. Every, you know, few months or so, there is a battle pass, a season pass that probably has a paid version that is higher than that sometimes provides, like, you know, actual good rewards, like things that are play for power, like, you know, Star Rail or something like that, or it just has cosmetics, like something like Kirax Vault Pass in Path of Exile, as a general rule, right? Or the trading post in World of Warcraft that functions as a battle pass. And so, anyway, these things happen, and it makes me feel like every single one of these games is operating on this usually 60 to 90 day patch cycle that repeats the same content over and over. There's an event for different types of, like different types of social events, like, Chinese New Year. That's a really big one. You've
Is
got
it big?
Halloween and all of these different events. And I feel like I oh wow, you hate Halloween events. No, I don't hate Halloween events, but every year when they have them, like, this is just really to sell skins, right? And when every single game is doing this, there's a certain sense of escapism that I'm looking for in a video game that really kind of evaporates when you see every single one using the exact same, content delivery method, right? And so I see these games with these battle passes every single time, and it makes me feel like I'm wasting my time doing them, because every time I fill up one of these battle passes, every time I complete a season journey, every time I, complete all of the tasks that have been allotted to me, well, then I wait for a few months and then I have to do the whole thing over again. That's my big reward. And
I mean, I don't know. At least for Lost Ark, and I'd say for most battle passes, right? The battle pass itself, you're not really like filling the goal, like you're not actively filling them out. It makes it sound like he's like, oh, I do it once and I gotta do it all over again. But like you don't really like actively fill it out. So I never feel like, I'm like, okay, well, I finally finished it. Now I got to do it all over again. It's kind of the opposite, actually. I'm actually happy when there's a new battle pass because there's more rewards. There are new rewards. There's more things I can get. At least that's how I feel, right? Especially in Lost Ark, it's like, oh, more honing materials, more skins, more whatever. Like, finally, thank you. Lower battle pass really, I think for the most part, a lot of battle passes are pretty easy to do, right? What the fuck? Gopi got banned? What the hell happened? Single players just collect dust on your shelf after you beat them. They do, but it's not like in essence, like a lot of times these free to play live service games are kind of like single player games. So you still have to a lot of times pay for them as much as you would for a single player game, and sometimes even more. So somebody reported you for writing the C word. Damn. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, burnt out, like you guys are saying, right? He's definitely burnt out. But at the same time, I don't think everything he's saying is like nonsensical either.
all of them are built around some form of FOMO item. And
Lost Ark passes are literally the same every time. Once you have enough mats, you stop buying because it's only mats. I mean, what do you mean by stop buying? Like you just buy the battle pass once, right? And the next time it comes around, you buy it again because you probably need mats again. At least for me, that's the case. But I also buy the one for the skins too. I only ever played a game for as long as Lost Ark and still see myself playing in the future. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid, but I enjoy it and I've never found a game close to it. 100%. I think the thing is with Lost Ark too, right? Maybe it's not like entirely Lost Ark specific, but one of the reasons why we continue playing Lost Ark every day is because it is like the combat itself is so much fun. But the other thing is, you can think about it this way: is that imagine if Lost Ark wasn't an MMO, would you still play it for the combat? And are there better combat games out there that are not MMOs? And I'd say there definitely are, but we like MMOs, which is why we keep playing them. And we don't really find them as a waste of time. We honestly, like I said earlier, kind of crave that. We kind of look for something where we can just like lose ourselves in and day out. And I think it's just a different type of game, it's a different type of game. The combat ruined other games, 100%. Other MMOs don't compare anywhere close. I'll move it.
And I feel like
Okay. So yeah, I think that for the most part, and it's not just MMOs, right? It's like other live service games too. And yeah, back to kind of the battle pass. I just don't really think that it's like, necessarily I finally completed, thank goodness. And and I dread having the next battle pass. It never is that case for me.
FOMO is a very double-edged sword, and I think this is especially true with live service games. And what I mean by that is with a lot of live service games, how many of you guys played a live service game and you logged on every single day? You want to make sure every day you never miss
Can't miss those login bonuses.
Because you don't want to fall behind. And so you do that, and one day you miss it. It's like, ah, man, I missed it. Okay, well, I'm going to log on the next day. I'm still doing it every other day, so it's fine. And so then later on, maybe you end up accidentally missing 3 days. And then you tell yourself, well, maybe, and this could be any period of time, not 3 days. It could be 3 weeks, 2 weeks, right? Every game is different. But you tell yourself, oh, well, now I'm so far behind, it's not really worth playing anymore because I can't catch up. And I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of people, is that FOMO is a great way to keep people in the game, but FOMO is also a great way to keep people out of the game.
I agree with that for sure. Like, not with Lost Ark because, well, one, I don't think I've ever been off the game for more than like a week or so. But at the same time, there are definitely other cases with games that I'm trying to pick up as like a secondary game, right? Or a game that I'm trying to try out where I play it. Like, let's just say Throne and Liberty, for example, right? I was really excited about Throne and Liberty. I like playing Throne and Liberty a lot. And then Life Tier 4 came out. Things got busy. And then I didn't play it for like a week, 2 weeks, right? And then after that, I'm just like, damn, I really don't feel like going back to play it. I just feel like I'm so behind. It's the same with like First Ascendant. It came out around like Anime Expo. And I ended up going away to Anime Expo for about half a week. And then when I came back, even though I was very excited about it before I left, when I came back, I was like, all my friends are like, max level already. They got all this shit, and I'm still like leveling and grinding. Like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. The only way to really mitigate PvP is to accept being behind or quit, pay for progression. Yeah. PvP, WoW guys, since vanilla, Lost Ark PvE feels like PvP. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think like it has a lot of the same kind of challenge, right? I was a 3-month break shortly after the Clown release, and I was able to catch up. Was kind of rough though, yeah. And that's kind of like what the games do. They try to force you to keep playing every day because if you do stop, it's rough. You can't catch up. Like there was a period where I did stop playing Lost Ark as much. Like I wasn't completely off of it. But I only played one character at that time. And even some weeks, I didn't play the character. And it was not too hard for me to catch up afterwards, but I still, again, logged in regularly to do it. And later on, I had to pay money to, like, catch up too. Someone who plays 10 hours a day, they should be ahead of someone who plays an hour a day. I think so. I agree with that.
And so more and more as I'm spending my time doing other things that I find to be more enjoyable, the appeal of trying to continuously play an online video game to catch up and to keep up with all the FOMO rewards, it becomes more onerous, more of a pain in the ass, and just more of, let's just be honest, guys, it's more of a waste of time. And so this is something that, and what's very weird for me talking about this, and I'm sure a lot of people will be kind of shocked to hear this, because I used to be the person who was the most fixated on this. I would never miss anything in WoW. I would never do anything. I would always make sure I get everything done and be a complete completionist, right? And I feel like being a completionist completely wastes my time. So I stopped doing it. And it sounds like such a, an obvious thing to do, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in that hamster wheel, and they feel like if they get off of the hamster wheel, then they've wasted all of their time on the hamster wheel, so they can't get off because of sunk cost fallacy. And it's like, I remember when Blizzard made the $90, I can't even believe this, $90 store mount. They put this out there,
Jesus
and
Christ.
I'm seeing people in the comments, oh my god, I'm going to have to buy this because I want to get all the mounts, but it's so expensive. It's like, what do you mean you have to buy this? What's wrong with you? What are you talking about you have to buy this?
Imagine if Lost Ark came out with like a $90 like mount. That would be crazy. But they don't have to do that because they charge a shit ton for everything else anyways. It doesn't fucking matter. $90 mount? God damn. What about my $40,000 fucking Sidereal weapon? What about that? $500 Faker skin? Yo, I mean, look. $500 figure skill still doesn't compare to a $40,000 Sidereal weapon. RNG plays a real role in that. The 1 hour a day guy might one tap hone. Well, that's for Lost Ark, but some of the other games that we play, like in, for example, like World of Warcraft, doesn't like translate directly like that. Lost Ark whales keep the lights on at Smilegate for all us guppies. They do, and that's why for like when people talk about like pay to win in Lost Ark, I always say like yeah, it's a pay to win game, but like you don't have to pay to win to get to the like near the top. It's just when you get to like the 0.1%, that's when you kind of have to pay like huge money to get any sort of like reward. Yeah, and it's pay to progress faster too. Yep.
And the thing is that, I mean, I could also be talking to myself from 10 years ago. And that's the really ironic thing about it. And so the reason I'm making this video is to express kind of my current state of mind. I still like online video games. I can still play them for fun, but I can never really fully invest into them because I feel like so many systems and mechanics inside of them are designed to waste your time. And I've noticed this, and I contrast it with something like Elden Ring, or I contrast
Low has so much shit they could sell for reselling on the auction house that they don't, like character expansion slots or backgrounds. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if like I don't know. I'm sure they've done the math of like how much money they'd make if they sold like characters expansion slots and stuff. But maybe like they make more money when they don't sell it on the like they don't allow you to trade it. Who knows?
it with something like that I've been playing a lot recently. What is it? Metaphor Refantasio. Amazing, incredible game. I loved it. I ended up taking a day off today. I've been playing it all day. It's been really fun. And so I see these other single player games that they don't make you sit through, 4 or 5 hours of meaningless, annoying activities in order to get the reward. They just give you the reward. And the reason why is because they've already got their reward. They've already got your money. So it doesn't matter to them anymore, like whether you're, spending more time on the game. They just want the time that you spend on the game to be as meaningful and fun as possible. And I compare that with online video games, and it's like, okay, well, every time that you go on a loading screen, there's an advertisement for a skin. Every time that you open up the menu, there's another advertisement for the store. Every time that you open up the launcher, there's an advertisement for, like a battle pass, right? And so all of the different tools in online video games are designed to try to keep you playing the game as long as possible, but the quality of that entertainment I do think is lower. But I think it's a mindset shift that I've had where I used to always think that, being good at a video game doesn't matter if you can't beat other people at it, right? And I was thinking to myself, and that's how I always felt, but then I realized to myself, beating people at a video game doesn't really matter either because it's a video game. So, kind of shocking, isn't it? And again, guys, comment down below if this is something that this is a revelation that's also occurred to you. And so I see these things where it's like these 90-day reward structure cycles that repeat, and they usually power creep each other. So it's like if you work really hard in a game, this is something that Classic WoW always did really well. I'm a Classic Andy in a lot of ways. Is that if I took a break in BWL and AQ and Nax came out, well, I could come back and I'd still be in BWL. It's not like I would just be kind of accelerated to Nax and all of my effort that I had put previously would be invalidated. But I feel like a lot of video games have a reset power creep cycle that happens on a cyclical basis that's generally correlated with either a seasonal model or a battle pass model. And these types of mechanics are tiresome. They're very tiresome to me. And
I actually think it's kind of interesting. Like now, that like I'm thinking about this right now, because a lot of what he says is like very specific to like MMOs, and he's kind of talked about this. This is maybe a semantics thing, but he talks like live service games, right? But like, there's not really that much of a grind in a lot of the live services games, like like Call of Duty or like League of Legends or like whatever. Maybe there's like a reset on ladder, and that kind of like is a little bit of a grind, but you're kind of doing what you want to do in the game, and the gameplay is the same throughout that entire ladder grind anyways. So like for those types of games, there's not as much of like a wasting your time doing something you don't want to do. unlike MMOs. And I think, both are live services games, right? MMOs and like a League of Legends or a Counter-Strike or whatever it might be. So it's not necessarily all live service games just have like a lot of these time wasting things that want to keep you there. Though at the end of the day, they do still want to keep you there and want to keep you playing every single day.
As I've spent a lot of time playing these games, I've realized that I'm not really having as much fun completing these tasks because of the inevitable futility of it, where ultimately I'm not really going to be able to achieve anything in this game. Not like it matters, but it feels like it matters. Again, if you like playing these games and you're having fun, then that's all that matters. That's literally all that matters. Like, you don't need to justify it to me. You don't need to justify it to anybody. But I think that what happens is that a lot of times people put the expectation of like, oh, am I having fun with how many other people are having fun the same way. And so for me, moving over to playing a lot more single player games, I don't have to keep up with like really fastly evolving metas. I'll log in, like everybody's playing and grinding. It's hard to play a competitive game like that unless you're playing it all the time because of just how fast information travels now online. And ultimately, I'm playing these games. I can't really, maintain a degree of like, maybe like competitive nature, right? Because and also some people might say skill issue, and
Skill
I'm
issue.
sorry, but I'm gonna have to agree with you. I don't even really care. It's not really that big of a deal to me. I just want to play the game and have fun. And if I'm getting fucking
playing the game and having fun, what is this idea? But yeah, he's not talking about Lost Ark. He's talking about just like live service games in general and like MMOs. That's something a casual would say 100%. Fun? Why do we play games for fun? You want to be playing games to be good and beat other people. Out DPS those fools.
Destroyed. Like, how many of you guys used to play Fortnite and you stopped playing it because you build like your little, okay, all right, you son of a bitch, you come over here, and then over there he's building the Eiffel fucking Tower, and you feel like a clown and you lose, and so you just lose interest in playing the game. I think that's what's happened with a lot of online games because everybody's wanting to make a name for themselves. Like for a lot of people out there, it's, I wouldn't say it's a job for them, right? They're doing this as a career, so they want to be as competitive and as good at this game as possible. And I think the reality of that is that there's so many people out there that it really makes it hard for an average player to have fun playing one of these games when metas and skill caps evolve so fast that you have to maintain a certain degree of consistency playing it.
I think that it's a very interesting point that he brings up here. Wait, hold up. Go back for a second.
Hard for an average player to have fun playing one of these games when metas and skill caps evolve so fast that...
Yeah, I think it's very interesting what he says about like metas and skill caps and whatever, right? Because there's so many times, and I'm sure a lot of us have had like situations go like this, where we're like, dang, I really wish I could play with this specific skill or like this specific engraving. Like I want to play like a necromancy build, or I want to play this build or that build, or like change up like a tripod here and there because it looks so cool. But we can't do that, right? Because a meta has developed, and that's like what is accepted as what people do. And if you walk in a party with like some necromancy fucking, domination build, then people are going to look at you like, what the fuck's going on? But maybe you might have fun with that build, right? You don't care about like, oh, I need to be doing like maximum DPS output. I just want to be able to clear the raid with a build that I want. And that is like something that has developed over time in like every single online game, and even many just regular games as well, where you're like always looking up guides. What's the best build for this? What's the best sword build in Elden Ring? Whatever it might be. And I don't know. It does kind of suck that that is the case.
You have to maintain a certain degree of consistency playing it, or you're probably not going to have a good time because you're going to get skill gapped or power crept, depending on what the game is. And in fact, in some of them, it's actually both. And so what's happened is that I've kind of realized this cycle of futility, and I've realized that, like, why am I trying to keep up with this to, like, maintain the same amount of effort and time?
They have a game like that for Theory Crafter weirdos called Path of Exile. They do. But it's not every, that's like one of the few games where that's the thing. And like, yeah, that's one of the few games. But yeah, in a game like Path of Exile, you can just build it and do it on your own. And it's a single player game, right? So, I mean, it can be for the most part single player. So like you're only hurting yourself by playing an unoptimal build.
When, again, why wouldn't I want to have my cake and eat it too? Right? Why would I want to invest a huge amount of time into something like this that I'm not really enjoying? And I feel like another thing is daily rewards or weekly rewards. A lot of these online video games, they have like a reward structure that is very front loaded, which means that you're getting 80% of the rewards in like 5% of the time, and then you spend the other 95% of the time getting the remaining 20% of the rewards. So they're designed for you not to play a lot and to basically stay on this treadmill and move at the pace that they've set for you. And I also find this to be very fatiguing as well, because there's some days I don't really want to play at all, and other days where days where I want to play maybe 6 hours, 8 hours, and I feel like that time and effort isn't rewarded in a proportional level, and it feels like my time is being disrespected. And
what are you talking about, guys? Lost Ark respects your time. I don't know what Asmon's talking about. Lost Ark respects your time for sure. There seriously, I mean, it is interesting like that, right? Because it's very true. A lot of times there are days when I just like want to play one character, and there are days when I want to play 6 characters, right? And if you're a person who only has one character and you want to play, 6 characters worth of time, then you got to make those 6 characters. But making those 6 characters means you got to put investment into them, which at the end of the day might mean that you need to pay money for them. Swipe, whatever it might be. So it would be nice, like, sometimes that, for a game like Lost Ark, I do wish it would be more like a regular game where you just, if you want to go all out and no life the game all day on your main character, right, you can. But if you don't, and you might want to play an hour or 2 that day, that's fine too. And you don't feel like you're going to lose progression if you do that. But it is something that does happen.
I think that's really a fundamental concern that I have too, is that I think a lot of these online games are built with systems that are cynically designed to waste your time in the most, like subversive way possible. And I see this happen a lot. And this is also, this is the worst thing, is that, oh, wow, you don't like grinding? Oh, you're not a fan of that? You don't have time? Well, guess what? We have the solution for that.
You can pay for it.
Problem, and now you're going to pay us to solve it. So there's like these pay for convenience, pay for, power systems. So it's like, oh, well, I can't keep up all the time and I can't play all the time, so I'm going to spend money on the game. And I think that some people have rationalized this into becoming normal. I don't think that it's normal at all. Who decided that you have to pay money to advance in a video game? Like, who decided, oh, because you don't have time, now you have to pay money? Well, I'll tell you who decided that. The people you're paying money to. This is a completely invented problem that you could solve with 50 different solutions, but big surprise, the one solution that keeps being used is the one that's the most beneficial to the people that are making the games. And again, that's fine if you like this kind of stuff. I don't. I feel stupid.
I mean, nobody likes it, right? Nobody likes it. But in a way, it has kind of become justified in our, I don't know, quote unquote, society, that this is kind of the way things are. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not pay to win. It's just pay to progress. Like, if you want to sit out for a day or a week, or if you are a salaried, like a person with a full-time job who can't play every single waking hour of the day, well, that's why you work a job, right? Since you're working a job instead of playing the game, well, use what you get from the job to pay for it. There you go, right? Which, it's like a tough subject, right? It's kind of become especially in the sphere of like people in the Lost Ark community, it definitely is kind of like, if you're still playing the game, it is socially acceptable for you for that type of behavior, or like that type of model. And it does kind of suck that model exists, and it's definitely not a good thing either. And I'm not going to go out and say like, oh, but if they didn't do that, they wouldn't be able to keep the lights on at the company, right? Like, I'm sure if they just like sell skins or whatever it might be, they could goddamn keep the lights on. I'm sure. But, it's, a way for them to suck money out of us. And like it or not, that's kind of like the way that these games kind of operate. Yeah, no, it's not tough at all for them to make money just off selling skins. Not at all. When did games get to the point of pay to progress and not just paying for their stuff that isn't gameplay, like cosmetics and such? Well, it's actually interesting that you say that, right? Because the cosmetics came after. So how games were, and maybe some of you guys might not be old enough to remember this, but I think most of us are. Games all weren't most of the most part back in the day. Games weren't online, right? You had a box, you bought that box for the game, right? You go to the store, you pick up, I don't know, like Call of Duty. You buy it, you come home, you play it, it's done because there's no online component to it. There's no like paid for power, whatever it might be. You buy that $60 game, and that was it. There was actually no way for you to pay for the game anymore. But then online came, and MMOs came, and all these things came, and then the birth of the free to play model came. Now, when the free to play model came, it's like you get this free game, but how do they earn money? Well, you pay for microtransactions, right? Or like you pay for a subscription. But at the beginning of these MMOs, yo, Pooey, thanks for the 3 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. But yeah, it's like, for these free-to-play models, these free-to-play games, that's what happened, right? Instead of paying for the game itself, you paid for the in-game microtransactions, which oftentimes were the most predatory back then. Back then, every single online game was pretty much predatory, especially like the Asian MMOs or the Korean MMOs or whatever it might be, right? It was either sub-model or free-to-play model, and the free-to-play model was extremely predatory. Everything in the shop was pay for power, right? It was basically pay for us to play the game, or else you're just behind everybody. And then it transitioned to, hey guys, we're not predatory. I know you guys hate pay to win, so everything is going to be skins, right? And then it was like that for a while. And then they started pushing the fold a little bit more. Just like, hey, I know we only said we were going to bring in skins, but, here's a little bit of like, pay to win here. It's not pay to win, actually, guys. It's just pay to progress. Like, you can totally get everything for free. You don't have to pay for it at all. And, but if you want to progress a little bit faster, or if you didn't want to grind as much, that you can do that too. And that's kind of how the evolution went to where, like, there was no pay to win at all or pay to progress. Then it went to completely pay to win. Then it went to cosmetics. Then it went to like pay to progress. Good time where you actually own the games that you bought. Yeah. Nowadays, we don't own anything that we buy. It just isn't a thing. Like, even Steam games, right? We don't own any of our Steam games. They're just, and even if you buy a physical disc, right? Like, I bought the Overwatch disc, but I still don't own the Overwatch game. I own the disc, but the game itself isn't mine. And clearly, what they did was they pulled Overwatch 1 down, and I own the disc, but can I play Overwatch 1 anymore? No. Because I don't own the game. It's so stupid. GOG is good for this? Yeah. The irony of micro is that you have mounts for $90 and skins for $500. I mean, the irony of microtransactions is like you have a game that you can buy for $60, but then you can buy a mount for $90 or whatever, right? You literally pay more for the skin than the game itself, which is ridiculous. What happens when you launch a disc? I really don't know. I don't think it. I think it'll install on your computer, but like when you launch the game, it's just like, well, the game's down, right? Or like it probably will install the game, but then like it's not like you can do anything with it. It probably doesn't even show up on the Blizzard launcher. Mega transactions. The $90 amount can still be bought through the in-game currency though, and that's how they get you. That's how they get you, right? You're like, well, it's not actually like pay to win or whatever, right? It's like you can still get that stuff with the in-game currency. Like, I know it's $90, but you can still get it. Like that's kind of how they get you, right? That's kind of how this like whole culture like has come to where like people are like become okay with them charging like $90 for a mount or become okay with like, paying for progression, because it's like, hey, it's not pay to win, guys. You can get it if you don't want to pay money. You can still get it, but it's going to be a lot of work. His regular work with WoW, he said that they made a mount for a WoW store and a pet, and it earned more money than the copy sold from StarCraft. Oh, 100%. That definitely fucking happens. In 50 years, my DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 2 disc for Wii will be worth millions. Just wait. Yep.
Feel stupid paying to win, and I feel stupid playing free to play. I feel stupid for playing it at all. And so I thought to myself, am I going to spend my whole day being stupid? Yeah. But not that stupid. That's terrible. And so I quit playing. And so I felt these different systems, and it's like every game has these. It's not like one game has this. Every online video game follows these same content delivery structures. They follow the same reward structures. They follow the same progression structures. They follow the same store models. And it doesn't even matter what the genre is. How is it that you can have a game that is about shooting people with guns that is fundamentally the same as a game that's killing dragons, or a game that's like an anime waifu collector? Really, Call of Duty's got the same progression standard, kind of? I mean, in an abstract sense. So Honkai Star Rail, what the hell is going on? And as soon as I've realized this, I've taken a step back. I've taken a step back, and I've tried to have fun playing video games. And that's where I'm at now. I've been playing a lot of video games that are single player, that I feel respect my time a lot more, that I feel are paced in a way that's not disrespectful, and I think they're really fun. And I'm not thinking about who is, who am I beating at the game, or, where am I on a leaderboard. It doesn't matter where I am on a leaderboard. It's a fucking video game. Who gives a shit? I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself, and it's been great.
I mean,
and so
it's like interesting, right? You can say it like that, like, you're playing a game finally for fun, and why are you guys playing like an MMO or like whatever when it's not fun, right? Or like, why are you like competing with each other like that when it's not fun? But the thing is, I think there is fun in competition, and I think a lot of people seek out fun from competition, right? If there was no competition in a certain game, people wouldn't play it, because they're competitive people. They find fun out of competing with other people. And I think this is where like maybe Asmon's like more of like his own personal preference and his own personality comes in, where it's like he's at a point where he doesn't feel like competition's fun anymore. But like, competition is a fun thing. People compete in sports, people compete in, trading cards, people compete in all these different type of things, and they don't do it because they're forced to. They do it because they have fun with it. And like, he's like, oh, I'm finally having fun with a single player game. Well, maybe it's just because you don't find competition fun anymore, right? Maybe you just don't find that aspect fun anymore, and you kind of just want to be a casual and be laid back, which is totally fine. But I think it is a stretch to say that it's not, competing is not fun. Like, why are you competing? That shit's not fun, right? Just go play a single player game. That's way more fun. Well, some people like competing. Some people like competition, and they find fun out of that. Yeah, competition will never die out. It's something people look for. It's people want. He's a streamer. He's almost never playing by himself, even when he's playing a single player game. Well, sort of, right? Because he did talk about how he was playing like I'm not sure what that game was. It's the Persona universe game that he was saying. He does play that off stream a lot, and during his time, like when he was not streaming, he was like when he was banned, he was playing a lot of it offline. So not necessarily. I mean, even for me, if I'm a streamer and I'm playing a single player game, I still feel like it's a single player game, and I would get the same enjoyment out of it while streaming versus not streaming, in my opinion. If I ever lost a single player, I would drop that shit immediately. Oh, 100%. But that's kind of like also like, I don't know. I think that's a problem in itself too. Like maybe it's maybe a similar discussion or a separate discussion, but like it is kind of, and that's kind of part of his argument, right? It's like, why are you playing these games when you don't enjoy them? Like, not necessarily like you don't enjoy them, like they're not fun to you, but like if you were to take the game offline and make it a single player experience and it's not fun to you, why is that? Well, maybe it's because the game itself isn't that fun, right? Now these other aspects to it, like the online aspect and the progression and the competition, add to it. But the game itself and the gameplay itself isn't as fun as it could be. Whereas, like another single player game, you would play single player and multiplayer, right? It's like if you brought, like, I don't know, let's say, what was a fun single player game, right? Like for example, Pokemon is a very good example, right? Pokemon can be enjoyed as a single player game, but when you bring it online, then that's another aspect of fun that you didn't have before. Whereas with Lost Ark, you can't enjoy it as a single player. Well, some people probably can, but like for the most part, if you're grinding that many fucking hours on a single player game, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like, why are you wasting all this time running a single player game? So it's like, yes, I think that Lost Ark is very fun online, but like if you say like if it was a single player game and you wouldn't play anymore, you gotta sometimes ask yourself like, why is that? Maybe it's because the game itself isn't that much fun to begin with, and it could be so much more fun. Like, it would be great if it was a game I would like to play as a single player game, but then is enhanced by multiplayer as opposed to the other way around. Yeah, it's like Sekiro, whatever these games are, right? These first single player games that you can play by yourself. I'm sure a lot of them, if you played them online, they would be just as fun, if not more fun, right? So it's like that is a valid point that like, why are these games not fun at its core? Make them fun at the core rather than focusing on like just trying to squeeze as much money out of us and like making us like not log off the game, keep playing every day, grind, whatever. And then it's like, if you don't want to grind, if you don't want to do the non-fun parts, then you got to pay to win. We lost our solo rate all the time. It becomes a single player game. Yeah, but there's still many online aspects to it as well. And not everybody enjoys the single player game, the solo raid aspects. But yeah, I do think that like there is enjoyment to have out of being solo. But I think that a lot of people probably wouldn't play it solo. Solo feels so soulless. It does a bit, and I think the number of people who play Lost Ark solo are probably less than the number of people who play it as a multiplayer game. I'm not saying they don't exist. Like clearly Saga does it, but I think that there's more than we expect that play it solo. But at the same time, it's not more than the people who play it as a multiplayer game. Sadly, I play solo. I mean, it's not a bad thing to play solo. Like if you enjoy the game playing solo, then continue doing it, right? But I'm just saying, like, a large majority of the people who do play the game probably wouldn't find the game very fun as a solo game. Like, they probably just rather play, like, another solo game, like another single-player game instead. And I played a lot of solo in Lost Ark. I got tired of it and got gatekept because I couldn't join a Day Mines, a Kidnaps Behemoth, so I quit Lost Ark because Day 1 people wanted only Behemoth title. You know what you're getting when you start a game anyways. Either way, it is completely up to you whether you enjoy MMO or single player games. Sometimes you can switch up left and right. Yeah, and it is at the end of the day, like I said, right? It's a choice to play the game, but at the same time, it does kind of suck that like I do. There is the point, right? And it is a valid point that why should a game be not fun as a solo game, but only be fun as a multiplayer game? It should be fun as a solo game and it's a multiplayer game if it's like an MMO. Of course, if you're playing like and I guess I mean even FPS, like at some point playing with bots is decently fun if you're not good at the game, right?
So I wanted to make this video and talk to you guys about where I'm at personally, why I haven't been playing a lot of these online video games, and why I've fallen out of favor with it. I yearn for the day that there is an online video game that makes me want to waste my time. But right now there's not. And so I'm stuck here being a boomer, playing single-player games, and that's just about it. And I hate to say it, guys, but I'm happy. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit, give some of the different little patterns that I've been seeing a lot of these online games having, and also share where I'm at. And I think the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I feel like a lot of you guys out there might be a little bit like me. And let me know in the comments if you are. I'm quite curious. I think this is a long overdue discussion because I feel like this permeates not only the enjoyment of the game, but what are games fundamentally. For a lot of people, they're a form of escapism. And I don't feel like I'm escaping into a treadmill. You know, it's like I'm in my real life that is in some ways a treadmill. I'm lucky, you know, in the job that I have. Some people aren't as lucky. Their real life is much more like a treadmill than mine is. And then it's like, finally, you know, I've been working all day, time to go home and work in this video game. Miss me with that bullshit, man. And so that's the way that I feel. Let me know in the comments how you feel, and I hope there's more discussion about this. I really do, because I hope that it'll lead to better online games that are more respectful of your time and
He said it!
more fun.
He said
That's
it!
about it, guys. I'll see you later. Peace.
I mean, I'm gonna go into Chaos Gate. I think there's a lot of good points that he makes, and I think overall, right, at the end of there, you really, I don't think that it's like a situation where he doesn't like online games. You can clearly tell he still loves these online games and MMOs, right? Like you said, he's looking for that next game. He wishes he has that game where he could be just sucked in and want to play it day in, day out. That is an, you know, online multiplayer experience. But at the moment, like, he doesn't like the way that online games are. He doesn't like the model that they are operating off of, because it really is just, at the end of the day, they fill the game up with a lot of unfun things to try and get you to grind. And if you don't want to grind, you pay for it. And he wishes that that were the case. And the reason why he doesn't play those games anymore is because of that. Not because he doesn't like them and doesn't think they can be fun, but because they're just not that fun at the moment. And we might have fun with it, right? And that's great. I have fun with it every fucking day, right? And that's perfect for us. But I don't think that it's wrong to acknowledge that the games could be that much more fun. It could be that much more greater if they got rid of a lot of these aspects that are just there to make us pay money for the game. And some of us might be like him, where we bring it to the extreme, where we just stop playing them. But some of us, you know, still continue to play this game, like us, where we know the problem exists, but we're just, you know, drinking the Kool-Aid and just want to play these games and can't stop. Humans are social, be it indoor or outdoor. Yeah, I mean, we're all social creatures, and we all try to find connection with other people, and we try to find commonalities and things like, you know, we have that are, yeah, like I said, common between us. That is a human desire and a natural thing. And that's kind of why we like playing these online games and playing with other people. I think that all of us can agree, probably, that there's a lot of shitty stuff in our games that are online. It's clear, because we complain about them fucking every day, right? We complain about fucking Transcendence. We complain about, like, we complain about elixirs, we complain about honing rates, we complain about advanced honing, we complain about all these things, right? Because they are shitty things within our games. Like, imagine if Lost Ark didn't have all these shitty things, right? That would be amazing. That would be an amazing game. We would love the game so much. Which is why I think that these, you know, arguments exist, and which is why, like, Asmongold's points are pretty valid, in my opinion. Remove Elixir and Trans Game of the Year? No way. I mean, it's like remove, you know, like, just look at this. It's so shitty that we have to, like, get all these things, right? In order to not get gatekept. It's so shitty that we have to do all these things in order not to get gatekept, right? Imagine if our game, like, you know, didn't have all these fucking gatekeeping shits and we just play it for fun and, like, not worry about, like, oh, I gotta get my clear on week 1 or else I'm gonna get gatekept next week for not having title. Like, you know, all these things, right? These are the games that we have. And it's not like we're not playing them. We keep playing them. And if we keep playing them, and if we keep paying for them, people are gonna keep making games like this.